Going to have a little bit of fun here. I am talking about the future of apps, or the greatest battle of the modern era, and I have to apologize to start. I will not be talking very much about games. I also won't be really talking about the app economy. In fact, I almost feel stupid talking about the app economy a little bit because there's a 70 trillion monster out there, which is the global economy. And that's what we're trying to access, and that's what we're going for. And the greatest battle is going to be for that. So the greatest battle, it's not iOS, Android. It's not GIF or GIF. GIF is right, by the way. It's not Trump or Kim. It's not Elon versus big utilities or big energy, big cars. It's not even robots versus jobs. Well, that's probably one of the key issues we'll be dealing with for the next 20 years or something like that. In fact, it's battle for control of the customer. So this is me. You've heard my name already. John Koetsier, mobile comms for Tune, write for Forbes and Inc., built VentureBeat's research division, and you've heard a little bit about Tune as well. We do a lot of stuff for a lot of people, primarily helping them find new customers and engage better with the ones that they already have. So the history of commerce can be read as a battle for the customer. If you control the customer, you control the economy. In medieval times, if you were lucky by birth, you kind of owned your producers and your consumers at the same time. Over the course of time, if you became a member of a guild, maybe a silversmith, a goldsmith, or a blacksmith, as you got here, you controlled your customer by controlling who could enter into the guild or association. If you control the supply, you control the demand. I really don't know what the dude at the back end of the horse with the jug is doing, but I don't want to be in his guild, that's for sure. In the early mercantile era, you controlled the customer by imperial fiat. You got a license from the king which said, hey, you can go out and explore and exploit this area, bring back the stuff you've got, and you went out and you got the fur and you got the spices and you brought it back, and by controlling the supply, again, you controlled the demand. In the early modern era of mass media, TV, radio, newspapers, mass media aggregated access to your customers, and you could then access them through that. By the way, if you notice the subtitle here, fake news is nothing new. The subtitle says, all aboard are rescued. So it did happen back then as well. More recently, of course, two companies, and you saw this very slide in Eric's presentation earlier, have aggregated access to almost everybody. I'm talking obviously about Facebook and Google, and you can rent access to your customers via their services, via their platforms. All of these eras still exist. Newspaper is still around, probably be around for another 2 decades. Radio is still around, terrestrial radio, satellite radio, even podcasts can be thought of as PVR or TiVoed radio, right? TV is still around. It's being assaulted by OTT over the top, right? But it's still around. Desktop is still very, very important. Guilds are still around. Why do you think that pharmacists can earn $80K a year for putting the right pills into the right bottle and standing a foot higher than everybody else? Owning your customer is still around. We still have monopolies and duopolies, either by force of law or by de facto market forces. All these eras coexist, but typically one era is dominant. One era is growing and becoming ascendant, challenging, and others are in various states of decline. And of course, we see that. Obviously, old mass media are in various states of decline. In terms of importance, societal importance to us, to our culture. We see that in those, we see that in desktop even, and we see that this is the dominant platform of the day. In all of those, however, the key is that there is a way, there are means of aggregating access to customers. This was something that apps fundamentally changed. Apps were a fundamental challenge to aggregating all your customers and having to access them via paying a toll from mass media. Even personalized mass media, like what we call social media today and other things like that. Apps democratized access to customers and provided the opportunity to de-aggregate audiences, people, consumers. So you can speak to your users, your customers, and not everybody. Even if you targeted, you're still talking to a wide audience there, right? And obviously, Apps promised that and provided the opportunity to deaggregate. But we saw what Eric was showing us in terms of time in apps, right? That's concerning and can be a challenge, obviously. Perhaps it doesn't work for all of them, right? And the biggest aggregators still aggregate. But for companies that were smart, small, nimble, fast, and they could connect directly to their customers in ways that were not possible before. No mediation, no bridge, and no toll between them and their customers. That's one of the reasons we've seen massive disruption from tech startups, because typically they've been smarter, faster, and nimbler than their older competition. One example, and I know it's a 20-year-old company and it's now a massive enterprise, is Amazon. Amazon was born in the desktop era, but is a child of mobile today for one reason, and that is Jeff Bezos and his philosophy of it's always day one. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google Jeff Bezos day one. Be very, very interesting. As a result of that strategy, Amazon has amassed over 700 million mobile users, aggregated across all of its apps, non-deduplicated. That's 4.5 times all the users of its retail competitors combined. And that's direct, unmediated access to those customers. The result, of course, has been massive, massive value creation. 6 times more stock market growth than all of its competitors combined. And of course, where you have creation, you often have destruction. And so you've got massive value destruction for competitors. So for instance, the recent Amazon Prime Day saw a 32% drop in in-store visits by Amazon app users. We just saw that there's a lot of them, and they're still growing really, really quickly. That would really concern me if I had a store. And of course, we saw, and you probably recognize this headline right here, is that Whole Foods acquisition by Amazon caused an immediate drop in market valuation of $40 billion from some of its key competitors in the grocery space, Kroger's, Walgreens, others like that. Of course, it's not just Amazon. There are many more companies, many more examples that we can give you. Don't have time to go into all of them right now. Google, unicorn dinosaurs for many, many more examples. So apps have been disruptors. But now, and we've been talking about it all day, and Eric talked about it a little bit, and there was a panel of the apocalypse here that talked about it, and we heard as well from Elad about this very thing. Apps are facing disruption. I have a little different take on what that looks like, what that means, what the disruptor is, and what some of the impacts are going to be. I think the disruption that we're facing right now is fueled by AI. I think the disruption is coming mainly in the next few years from assistants. We're talking Siri, Alexa, Cortana, Google Assistant, others, Bixby you can add to the Facebook M you can start thinking about, others from other, in China and Russia, you've got some other contenders for this sort of class of thing. Let's take a look at how they can disrupt what apps are doing. So for instance, you're planning a trip, and you could easily spend 30 to 90 minutes, maybe more, in let's say 5 or 6 different apps, right? What airline am I going to take? What's the flight situation? What hotel? Can I get transfers between those? Should I book a table at a restaurant locally? Should I get tickets for the game or the show? You can easily spend 30 to 90 minutes on that just alone. And desktop, very, very similar. With an assistant, the equation changes dramatically. Hey Siri, hey Google, Alexa, I want to do a trip to Chicago in 3 weeks. I want to come in Friday night, leave Sunday night. I'm looking for a hotel downtown, 3 or 4 stars, not much more than $250 a night. I want a table at Morton's, and then tickets for the Cubs game afterwards, and please do all the transfers between them. That's not, Siri not available. Siri thought I was invoking her. That's not available right now, but you can see how that's much easier with an assistant. And the reality is that it has begun, right? If we see Alexa, obviously you can buy a million different products from Amazon, physical products, you can buy digital products. Siri has had the ability to buy digital products for quite some time. to book experiences, to book via OpenTable, other things like that. Google Assistant has been a latecomer to this field, but Google has been working hard. And right now, Google Assistant can help you buy things from Walmart, Walgreens, Target, Staples, Best Buy, Costco, and PetSmart. In fact, more than 50 different retailers. That's really, really interesting. And really interesting is that one of them is this company. Clearly, that deal was done before the acquisition. Clearly, Google sees Amazon as a threat. One of the things that Google has owned for maybe a decade or more is purchase intent. What are you going to buy? What commercial activities are you going to engage in? Google has owned that, and Amazon threatens that. Not least because we go to a store and we check out a product, and should I buy that? I don't know. Well, let me check Amazon. Is it a good deal or is it not a good deal? Oh, it's double the price. No. Oh, it's about the same. That's probably a good deal. I'll get it. Not only because of that, because Amazon has built reach in ways that Google hadn't. Google's also positioning itself to save independent retail here. Of course, independent meaning as in ISV was independent in the Microsoft era. And that saving may result in similar different revenue distributions as ISVs got during the Microsoft era as well. Currently, that's limited to $4 to $100, but that's going to change, and it's going to expand from hard goods and grocery type things to experiences, trips, hospitality, whatever the case might be. I see this as inevitable. Consumers will always move towards experiences that are easier, better, faster, cheaper. Assistants are going to win on two of those guaranteed, easier and faster. They're probably going to win on better, but that's going to depend on the rest of the experience and how the product gets to you and what product is and everything like that. And they have a shot at winning at cheaper. So they've got a shot at capturing the vast majority of commerce that's currently running through apps or that is going to be running through apps and mobile in the next 2-3 years. The question right now is this era qualitatively different than previous eras? We talked about various eras of how the battle for control of the customer evolved. Is this era any different, right? We've always had these cycles of innovation, explosion, aggregation, and new innovation, something new, some new technology, some new opportunity that was followed by an explosion of startups, growth, companies, foundations, people rushing in to build things, make things, and exploit that innovation. And then aggregation as the winners sort of started to separate themselves and buying up some of the other companies, and you start seeing 3, 4, 5, whatever the number might be, 2, 1, companies that start owning that space. We've always had that. The interesting thing for me when I think about what's going to happen with assistance and commerce is that the barriers to entry are going to be fundamentally higher and different than we've seen in the past. Doesn't mean we're not going to be able to surmount them. We don't know what we don't know. But it's not going to be easy. One of them, of course, is natural language processing. You don't build that overnight. You don't start working on that on Tuesday and finish on Thursday. You don't build that with $1 million in VC. It's hard. It's challenging. Same thing with neural networks, deep learning, machine learning, all the different facets in various areas of AI. Sure, there's lots of publicly available libraries, lots of open source stuff, which you can do some amazing things with. Don't get me wrong. But building it all together into a suite of services that works really, really well and does amazing things and is super, super useful, not so easy as well. And then, of course, there's the massive training data sets that the companies who are building assistants have access to that are not as easy, not impossible, but not as easy for other companies to access. If you're getting better faster than your competition, it's hard to understand how somebody is going to unseat you. And then, of course, there's the integrations, both the digital integrations and the physical integrations in the fulfillment layer, actual physical layer that you need to build out at scale. And finally, there's distribution at scale. I think I went a little too fast here. Finally, there's distribution at scale. If we look at distribution at scale right now, this is the methodology. This is the distribution method primarily right here. If that's the case, advantage Google, advantage Apple. Microsoft's biggest problem in this space is that it's focus of distribution is on yesterday's platform, not today's platform. Amazon had a really interesting response to this challenge. Amazon tried to get into this platform and failed. And what Amazon decided to do is to say, I can't get into that red ocean. It's too big, it's too busy, it's too filled, the niches are filled. I'm going to invent an entirely new and different class of device where I can win. Seriously smart, intelligent strategy. And therefore, we've got voice first. We're already seeing voice first assistants take the place of apps. Hey Siri, play me some music. Oh shoot, shut up Siri. Alexa, turn on the lights. Hey Google, who's winning the home run race this year in the MLB? And that's just the beginning, right? There are some apps, some categories of apps that are going to have a tough time. Apps that you're getting information from, utility type apps, apps that are maybe controlling some smart devices, those sorts of things. And here's where I do talk about games for a moment. I don't think games are one of them. I think games have a really, really bright future on this device. I think this device will be the locus of a gamer's ecosystem and will control the big screen on the wall as well as the small screen in the hand. And with AR and the things that we're starting to just barely kind of see, there's huge opportunity for games. And games can do very, very well here. However, we are seeing voice-first assistants take some place of apps. And there's danger in that because Amazon sells batteries, right? Duracell, whatever other names of batteries there might be. Amazon Basics is one of them, right? Guess there's a challenge, however, if you try and order batteries via Alexa on your Amazon Echo. Amazon only sells one type of battery on Echo. And I give you one guess as to what kind that might be, right? So, assistants are disrupting apps. The question becomes, what can brands and retailers do in this new reality, in this new scenario? I see 5 different things, and we're going to go through them right now. First thing is be a unicorn. I don't mean be a billion-dollar tech startup. I mean be a Tesla, be an Apple, be a Moleskine. Be the kind of company that customers demand to buy from. They'll climb a mountain, they'll run through a wall, they'll do whatever to have your product, your experience, your brand, whatever the case might be. They will do whatever it takes. They'll get around the assistant not ordering from you. They'll do whatever it takes to be your customer. The other option is to be fast. Make hay while the sun is shining. We still have a couple years, maybe 3 years, before assistants get good enough to reliably do the kinds of things that I just talked about, right? The trip to Chicago, getting the Cubs tickets, ordering it all, making it work. One thing that we need from assistants is we need really good interactivity between the audio and the visual, right? Not everything is get me a new pack of batteries or I need more toilet paper. And I don't really, it knows my brand. I don't really care what it is or exactly what the deal is. Some things you want to compare. Some things are more complicated and you want to see some options, various different ways. For those, it helps to see something. So having some good integration and interaction between those two pieces of the experience is really, really critical. You could be fast in this era when assistants are not good enough. Get big. If you've got 20 million mobile users, that's going to help you whatever the technology does, wherever the technology goes. If you're Staples, let's say, Home Depot, both companies which are doing some interesting things, you can check the Unicorn Dinosaurs report, in mobile to access their customers. Not only are you going to do better right now, that's great, that's awesome. When the shift is really starting to happen, you come to Google and you say, hey, you know what, we want to be in Google Assistant. You come to, maybe Amazon will do third party here as well, right? Probably will at some level. It has done in e-commerce on desktop, right? You come and you start talking, hey, we want to be part of what you're doing here. We want to be orderable. I've got 20 million users, somebody to listen to, right? That's somebody to pay attention to, and you've got a standing in the space. Third thing, be custom, right? It's easy to buy commodity products via voice. Really, really easy. There's no differentiation. I just want batteries. Give me batteries. You've got to decommodify, make it customizable, make it personalizable. That's a little more challenging. That's a little harder. You've got to work, but it's better for the consumer, customer, for categories that they care about, and it's harder to disrupt you. Fourth, be smart. Have a product that's smart, that's connected, that's controllable. Most of you probably saw this fridge, came out CES last year from Samsung, and it takes pictures of what's inside of it. Who thought that was stupid when they saw it for the first time? Be honest. We got a few brave people here. I did. I mean, I was looking at, what if I put the jug of milk right in front of the camera? What's it going to do? And what's it going to see in my fridge anyways? There's kind of like a pile of stuff, right? I mean, it's not neatly organized, set up, whatever the case might be. So I thought it was kind of stupid. But if you think about it a little bit, what can you do with a fridge that knows what's inside of it, right? Can you reorder food? Can you auto-order food? Can you insert yourselves into the value chain of 10, 20 million households reordering $100 to $250 worth of groceries every single week? Interesting things to think about. And then fifth, build brand. That's always good advice, obviously, but brand will matter more in the era of assistance and commerce than ever before. You have to have a brand that people want and will ask for by name. I mean, a shoe is a shoe is a shoe, but a Yeezy, that's a Yeezy, right? Who here knows what Yeezys are, please? Okay. Yeah, I don't buy them either, but my kid is nuts about them. They're shoes from some doofus entertainer who I can't recall his name. Somebody shouted out at me. Kanye West, excellent, yeah. And I say Kanye wrong way, I know that, sorry, drastically uncool. You need them to demand you by name. Remember Amazon and the batteries, right? In voice first, there's no first page of results. There's no second page either. There's kind of one thing, most of the case. If you fail, I always like to end my presentation with something really cheery, really exciting, really happy. If you fail, meet your new masters, right? And this is the GAFA that we've talked about already today. Certainly Google, certainly Apple. Apple is a little less interested in commerce than others, but it will get there to some level because users will require it, and it'll be a better experience for their customers. Amazon, we obviously know, is charging full force into this right now. The question right now, of course, is Facebook. What is Facebook doing? It's hard to tell. Facebook M is kind of the hidden secret project right now. Not so secret, obviously, but not so open either. What we do know about Facebook is that Facebook has relationships with literally millions. Last the number I saw was 5 to 6 million or something like that. Businesses. And relationships with billions of customers, consumers. And that Facebook is desperate to find ways of connecting those two camps. Connecting them via Messenger, connecting them via WhatsApp, connecting them via whatever, and then obviously monetizing that connection, right? So, welcome to your new corporate overlords. Thank you very much.